Hello and welcome to our special program To The Point. Today we have with us a senior leader of the Congress Party, former Union Minister and as of now the Deputy Leader of the party in the upper house, Mr. Anand Sharma. Sir, welcome to the show and thank you for being on Rajya Sabha television. It has been 1 year since the NDA government has come to power and there has been a lot of criticism from the opposition parties. And the reply from the government has also been, very elaborate in terms of the press conferences being done by several ministers across a few days, starting with the finance minister. You've been a senior minister in the UPA government, which was in power for 10 years with, senior portfolios. What is your take, number one, on the claims of the government as far as turning around the economy is concerned?
Well, it's boastful and false. This government came with the promise of turning the economy around, creating jobs. It was a tsunami of promises and hopes. And after 1 year, I can say in all sincerity, there is disappointment, people feel betrayed, their dreams and hopes have been shattered. This government talks a lot. You're referring to the press conferences. From day one, the Prime Minister and on his orders, the ministers talk when they are asked to, claiming what is not true and far removed from ground reality. It's time that Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and his ministers stop talking and start working. As they say, walk the talk. There's a huge gap. The talk is many miles ahead of the walk. That's a reality. Now, specifically about the economy, it is not an economy which is surging. It is a struggling economy, a sputtering economy. You look at where we were a year ago. Well, that was the election year. You're not meant to grow very well. The currency volatility was there. The demand was low in the foreign markets. But yet, when UPA demitted office, you had positive account balance, so that was positive, which was not there what UPA inherited. The foreign exchange reserves stood at 300 billion. Your exports stood at 316 billion US dollars. Rupee was 59 rupees to a dollar. And your core sector growth was reasonably good. And the agriculture was +3. Now what is there today? Rupee is at 64.30 yesterday, as of yesterday. Your exports have fallen. If you are growing, then jobs have to be created and manufacturing exports have to go up. So exports have fallen by $6 billion. One may say only 6, but that's about 38,000 crores of rupees. For 6 months continuously, even yesterday the numbers have come for the month of May, exports have fallen by 20%. It's not a small fall. 4.5 billion has been a monthly fall. So this year we are heading towards a far more serious situation than what we moved into in this current financial year. You have more money coming in debt instruments. Corporates are raising debt abroad. The debt to GDP ratio has gone up. Core sector is at 0.1. Capex formation, that's a gross capital formation. This means investment is taking place and productivity is increasing. That's in the negative, minus 1.3. Credit offtake of the industry is low. It has come down from 13% to 5.6%. Neither Finance Minister and Prime Minister, I do not know whether he knows about all these details, can deny that. So I am giving you hard facts. And we left a $2.3 trillion economy. During UPA's 10 years, even today some very leading economists have written, that has been the fastest growth recorded in the history of any country since the first industrial revolution. We quadrupled from less than 500 billion US dollars to $2.3 trillion economy. So these things, time will tell when people will remember what was done. What was not done perhaps has been commented upon more, but when it comes to economy, we left a very healthy economy.
Okay, you spoke about the export and the growth rate in several sectors. One thing which concerns directly the common man is the inflation. That's the rising prices of essential commodities. This government claims that in last 1 year, the inflation has been brought under control to a certain extent.
If we have to believe them, there are no issues. Everybody is happy and dancing and the Achhe Din have arrived. How are they calculating inflation? If they are calculating on the basis of commodity prices in the global markets, that's true that the commodity prices have come down.
Okay.
We were importing crude at $112 per barrel.
Yeah.
Now, it has come down, maybe it was 63, 64 yesterday, but if you look at the average of this government, it would come to $55. When it was 112, petrol in Delhi was at 71 rupees.
Okay.
Now when it is, the average is 55, and even if you take it at $63, petrol is at 67 rupees. Am I right or wrong? So they have not passed on the benefit of the sharp fall in the global prices to the consumer. The government has profiteered to the tune of 60,000 plus crores. On top of that, they have imposed excise duty 3 times. They have raised the customs. These are harsh realities. For the common man, for the household kitchens, the inflation has not come down. Today you don't have a single dal or the pulses which is less than 100 rupees. 110 would be the average. Who's responsible for this? This government is not governing. You could have anticipated and preempted. India has a shortfall of pulses. We import pulses to the tune of 4 million tons. Now this year the crops have been damaged, 9 million hectares because of the unseasonal heavy rains.
Yeah.
Now in that situation, when your agriculture growth has gone into negative, these are crises building up for future about our food security. We should have anticipated, placed the orders and brought in the pulses to keep the market cool. Now they are ordering now, that's you are buying an umbrella once it's pouring from the heavens. And now wherever they'll go and buy, they'll end up paying more.
So you say
Whenever the
efforts
BJP
are
has
late.
been in power, there has been a crisis when it comes to cereals, edible oils, food grains, and there's also the problem of hoarding. You ask any housewife.
And why is that? If that's a trend, then why is that happening?
Well, they have to answer. For whom the inflation has come down? If you have to buy your daily vegetables, milk, fruits, or whatever people have, fish or meat, all the prices have gone up. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi says, for every household kitchen budget has come down by 4,500 rupees per month. Now I do not know which school he learnt his mathematics and economics from. People should question him. People should question his government. And look at what they have done. They have cut the allocation for agriculture by 20%. Agriculture is in negative growth. If you are serious about governing, you will raise the MSP, you will encourage farmers to grow more food, more cereals, give them good MSP. If there is no incentive, the farmer will move away to other crops. That's happening in the country.
But the government says that several initiatives have been taken as far as agriculture sector is concerned. For example,
well, you
the
allocate
soil health card and several other initiatives.
These are ongoing things. When you allocate 1% of the national budget to agriculture, it's shameful or not? In a country where you have at least 60% of the people dependent on agriculture for their subsistence, you have small farmers who are subsistence farmers again. So what is this government doing about it? This is what you allocate. And if you look at overall, the organizations which would be dealing with the agri stress or the crisis, like ICAR, has been headless for 1 year, Indian Council of Agricultural Research. But it's not a question of an organization, it's a question of the government's intent or the government's vision.
Okay, another very important allegation which has been made by the opposition, specifically by your party, against the government in the last 1 year of their rule, has been that the social sector spending has come down. But the government claims that there have been several schemes which have been launched those are for the benefit of the unorganized sector, the people who work in unorganized sector, to give them better social security benefits such as Pradhan Mantri, Atal Pension Yojana, and then other insurance schemes such as
Bima Yojana. Now listen, this is all a mirage. It's not reality. First, social sector spending has been cut by a whopping 59%. Education budget has been cut by 21,000 crores. In a country when you have given the constitutional right, the right to education, it should have been 6% of the budget. It's barely 3% of the budget. Primary education, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, budget has been slashed by 13,000 crores.
Okay.
This is a reality. Across from primary to the higher education and research. And midday meal scheme has been slashed by 4,000 crores from 13 to 9. Now, when you cut the social sector budgetary allocations, I have only spoken of education. Health has been reduced by 16. Women and child ministry allocation by 51%. Rural development ministry by 99%. Please look at the budgetary allocation, what this government has done. They have cut more than 20,000 crore for the scheduled class sub-plan and 15,000 crore from the tribal sub-plan. Whose government is this? You slash the budget to half when it comes to the ICDS, which is meant for small newborn children and also the mothers of the infants, so that they get nutritious food. That has been slashed by half. So this government is insensitive, it is anti-poor, it has wrong priorities.
Okay, we'll continue this conversation after a short break, and when we come back, we will definitely ask Mr. Anand Sharma about the 14th Finance Commission and the government's claims that more money will now be going to the states as per their focus on the federal structure. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Senior leader of the Congress party and deputy leader in Rajya Sabha, Mr. Anand Sharma is still with us. Sir, we spoke about social sector, the core sectors. What about another very important statement which has been coming out regularly from the government about their focus on ensuring, rather strengthening the federal structure and one of the points which is made is that this has been done specifically by revising the figures in the 14th Finance Commission, and now the states will be getting more benefits. Also, states will get more benefit through the two bills which were passed with your help only, with your party's help, the coal bill and the mine bill in the previous session.
Well, let me tell you what the true picture is. 14th Finance Commission was set up as per the constitutional mandate. No government can take credit, is a constitutional requirement. It was not set up by Narendra Modi or the BJP government. It was set up by the UPA government with Manmohan Singh ji as the Prime Minister. The terms of reference were finalized by the UPA. So it was anticipated that there would be more devolution when it comes to revenue to the states. And that's why in the interim budget of 2014, the then Finance Minister had raised it, the allocation to the states, by almost 10 percentage points, so that there is not a sudden blow when it comes to the management of the resources of the state. Now, what has the Finance Commission done, or what this government has done? There are tied funds, there's a committed funds, and there are untied funds. Now, there is, yes, more transfer of untied funds when it comes to the devolution of taxes. There they have raised it by 14%. That's true. From 49, so Chidambaram had taken it from 39 to 49, now it is 49 to 63. They have also increased 4% loans and grants to states. So 14 plus 4, this becomes 18%. Now look at the committed funds, which are not dependent on the tax collection. Earlier, central assistance to states was 42%. That has been slashed to 24, exactly 18. If you have increased 14 plus 4 here, you have cut 18% of committed funds which is central assistance to the states. The budget size is smaller than the previous budgets.
But
the size of the budget is small. It's not, after all, if the states are getting it, it's out of the national budget.
Yeah.
Finance Minister may say anything, but these are the facts. So your untied funds, what you are giving to the states, will depend on your tax collection. And the way they have projected a tax increase of about 15-16%, it's unrealistic. How do you calculate or project the tax collection? One must understand. It is normally inflation plus the GDP growth. If you put the two together, you are talking of somewhere about 12%. Now it is not percentage to percentage point. Normally, historically, it's 0.75. Even if I generously give them 0.80, it will not even reach 11%. And the budget is prepared and calculation is 16% increase. So where is it going to come from? And the people have been burdened much more. Perhaps we are forgetting. For Prime Minister's favorite programs, so-called Swachh Bharat, which is renaming, like most of the programs have been renamed from Nirmal Bharat to Swachh Bharat, the budget of that ministry has been cut into half. And the cess of 2% has been imposed, which will go directly to the Consolidated Fund of India. All the cess or the service tax collections are not going to the states. You must remember that. So this government actually is fattening itself, like I gave you the example of the crude. Whether petrol or diesel, the citizen has not benefited. It should have been selling, both should have been selling at least 25 rupees less.
Okay, you spoke about one of the Prime Minister's initiatives, that's the Swachh Bharat program. Another initiative is which we are going to see on 21st would be the International Yoga Day. Not much keenness from the main opposition party and the
We don't have to learn yoga from Narendra Modi or his BJP government. I have been doing yoga since 1975. Many of us do it. It's your personal choice whether you want to run, you want to walk, you want to meditate, you want to pray, you want to go to a temple. These are all personal choices. Indians have been practicing yoga for thousands of years. I'm a votary of yoga. I support yoga, but I don't believe in spectacles.
Okay.
This Prime Minister believes, and good luck to him. He has proved his mentor right. When a comparison was sought to be made between Atalji and Shri Narendra Modi before he became the Prime Minister, and a question was asked of L.K. Advani about the statesmanship, he said Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a great communicator and a statesman. And Narendra Bhai Modi is a good speaker and a grand event manager. He has proved it over and over again.
Let's now come back to the two very important issues which pertains to the bills which are being brought by this government, and the monsoon session is not far away. Congress being the main opposition party and with more numbers than BJP in the upper house would definitely have a lot of influence as to which way these bills will go. One is the land acquisition bill. Though the Joint Committee of Houses is looking into the bill and will come up with a report on the first day of the monsoon session, even the GST is being looked into by the select committee. But what is your party's final stand going to be on these two bills? Will it be consistent to what it is right now, or is there some room for accommodation?
Let me make two things very clear. The LAR Act, Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act of 2013 was after a few decades of consultations between the centre and the states and all the stakeholders, changing the British law of 1894. Now, it had features which protected farmers, which ensured food security, and also the impact, social impact when it came to acquisition for large projects, mega projects. This government is seeking to do away with that and misleading the people from Prime Minister down to his ministers, whether it's Gadkari or Jaitley and others, by saying that, oh, we have to acquire land for defense and nuclear establishment, or for irrigation projects, or for industrial corridors. Please pick up the LAR Act. It's all provided for there. Also, when you look at Section 40, there is that for emergency provision, that provision is there. The government can acquire any land without social impact assessment or without doing away with the consent clause. land is being acquired even today. For example, in the new state of Andhra, after the bifurcation, new capital is being... So if this bill was coming in the way, how come Chandrababu Naidu's government has acquired land? So this is not true at all. Everything was provided for, including the industrial corridors. I was the minister responsible for all these industrial corridors which were approved by the cabinet. And we gave to the country the national manufacturing policy and to establish the manufacturing cities, the national investment manufacturing zones, 16 of which were notified. Now, this is a unique model of partnership between the center and the states, and the issue of land was settled. When the standing committee was dealing with this matter and Sumitra Mahajan, the present speaker of the Lok Sabha, was chairing it, I had strong reservations, my ministry had reservations, and I had written to the Prime Minister a letter or the internal note which has been quoted by this government. But that was complaining about the manner in which the standing committee's recommendations were, and we insisted that these have to be corrected, so that there is provision for manufacturing cities, the NIMS, there is provision for the industrial corridor, and that was accordingly done. So we had taken care of that. We are a party which delivered high growth historically. If you look at from the 90s onwards or prior to that, what you call the temples of modern India were built by Jawaharlal Nehru. Actually, it was his vision which also created a private sector, though it was the concept of mixed economy. You created the capital industry on the strength of which the private sector could grow. So people have to be retold the journey of this country so that they can fully appreciate. So we will remain opposed to it because it is anti-farmer, it will take away land, it will not have any social impact assessment. This is an unwarranted act by this government. There was no reason for them to embark on this dangerous path. Other thing about the GST, we brought the GST. If you look at the old bill and the new bill, now new bill is very weak. Either you go in for GST or just put a name of GST. And this is not a bill, it's a constitutional amendment. Once this goes through, then the GST bill will come. They are still struggling with the details. In the empowered committee of the finance ministers, the government itself does not know. Until recently, there was no expert who knew about the global benchmarks of GST. And the way this government is going about it, we are worried. Why, if you want a GST, why are you keeping petroleum products out? Because the central government collects as custom and excise. That's why because the states will be compensated for all the revenue losses. Why are you having that 1% tax at every entry point, interstate tax? It will be cascading. It will be for any value change, any transaction. So transaction from state to state, it's a cascading tax. Now, why are we keeping electricity out of it, tobacco out of it, alcohol out of it? If you are going to compensate the state for any revenue loss, then make it a complete GST and go by the global benchmarks. It should not cross 18%. If you are going to keep these out and take your GST to 23-24%, actually it will come to 29%. Please calculate backward.
One last and
so
quick question.
we are for GST, but we are for correct GST.
Okay, great. One last question before we come to the end of this interview, and that is because you have held the charge of this important Ministry of External Affairs. This is about the recent controversy surrounding the External Affairs, Sushma Swaraj and Lalit Modi, her, calling up the British authorities and letting them know that a travel document should be issued. What wrong do you think has been committed out here? Because the government and the party, ruling party, seems to be defending the External Affairs Minister.
You see, it's a case of gross impropriety. I have respect for Sushma ji. It's very sad that she has landed herself in this situation. Why I'm saying so? Lalit Modi is a fugitive from law. He's a wanted person by the law of the land. He ran away from the country. He's a holder of an Indian passport. Now, to put pressure to bring him back, the governments have only one option, to revoke the passport, which was done in this case. And the British government was informed, so that he's not allowed to go anywhere. Of course, the passport case was pending in the High Court. Division bench had rejected his application for the return of passport. It was at that time that he sought travel documents for the surgery of the wife and to travel to Portugal. Now, all the records show there was no invasive surgery of the wife, and if there was in reality a situation which demanded the issuance of travel documents for a limited period for a specific purpose, he is an Indian citizen. He was very much within his rights as an Indian citizen to petition the Indian government through the High Commission in London, and the External Affairs Ministry could have processed that and given it and informed the court.
So
how can our foreign minister ask for emergency travel documents from Britain, where we have been asking them that he is a person who is an absconder and he is wanted by law authorities in my country? But he is your citizen also. If you feel that there is a humanitarian dimension, which I rubbish completely, which is not true at all, because he was in Ibiza with his wife and daughter, and that's a resort town, and he was holidaying and frolicking there. So there is no humanitarian dimension there. But if actually it was, then the government of India should give that travel document to its own citizen.
Okay.
Why should a foreign minister, without informing the High Commission of India in London or the Foreign Secretary, ask directly the authorities of that country to give a travel document to an Indian citizen who is a fugitive as far as law is concerned?
Well, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for being with Rajya Sabha TV. So this was senior leader of the Congress party and a former union minister in a freewheeling conversation with us on several issues related to completion of 1 year of the NDA government, as well as what would be the party's strategy on important legislations like land acquisition bill and the GST. Stay tuned. We'll come back with a different personality on a different topic.